All right, let me now hand over to Dr. John, who is actually coming to us from Cape Town in South Africa for that briefing. Dr. John, I hope you're not too cold in Cape Town and you have the floor.
Thank you, Wynne. It is cold in Cape Town, but just nice weather for a change. Greetings from Cape Town to all of you on this platform this morning, and thank you for always joining this forum every Thursday noon. As usual, I'll do three things: give you an update on the epidemiological situation across the continent, and then discuss our support for the countries, member states, and then conclude with an update on vaccination. As Wynne said, I've been doing a tour of countries, member states, to really see firsthand what is going on in the field with respect to vaccines and vaccination across our continent, so that we continue to learn from the lessons on the ground and then better organize ourselves to support member states based on the reality. So let's start with the epidemiological situation. As of today, May 27, the continent has reported about 4.7 million cases of COVID-19. That represents about 2.8% of the overall total reported globally. The death rate stands at 129,000 cases, and that represents about 3.7% of the overall deaths. Our case fatality ratio, which is the number of people who have died out of the number of people that have been reported to be COVID infected, stands at 2.7%. The following 5 countries are reporting about 63% of the total number of cases. They include South Africa, 34%, Morocco, 11%, Tunisia, 7%, Ethiopia, 6%, and Egypt, 5%. As I indicated earlier, the global case fatality ratio rate is 2.1%. If we now look at the variant situation, which we've discussed severally on this forum, 27 countries are reporting the B117 variant, originally identified in the United Kingdom. One additional country has been added to the list, that is Burkina Faso. For the 7% of our member states, that is 26 countries, are reporting the B1351 variant, originally reported or identified in South Africa. And one additional member state, Tunisia, has been added to this list. So clearly the variants continue to circulate or be identified in many other countries. 18% of our member states, or 10 countries, are now reporting the B1617 variant, originally reported or identified in India. One additional member state, that is the DRC, has joined the list. If you look at the trends now, as we do every week, we look at the 1 weekly trend and then look at the 4 week trend. Between the week of 17 to 23rd of May, we've recorded 69,394 new cases, and this represents a 24% increase from previous week. I'll come back to that shortly to explain this increase because of some regional trends. The highest proportion of new cases is from Southern Africa region with 41%. Again, that explains that sharp increase. Northern Africa, 34%, East Africa, 14%, Central Africa, 7%, and Western Africa, 5%. The following 5 countries are reporting the highest number of new cases: South Africa with 21,000 cases, Tunisia with 8,000 new cases, Egypt 8,000, Cameroon 3,000, Kenya 3,000. In terms of new deaths, a total of 2,197 new deaths have been reported across the continent, compared to 1,848 from the previous week. This represents a 19% increase in new deaths from the previous week. Let's now turn our attention to the last 4 weeks and stretch that and see and compare events that have happened between April 26th and May 23rd. In terms of new cases, we've recorded an overall 0.4 average decrease in new cases. You can see that the sharp increase over the last week has now brought down a number of the trends that we are seeing over the last 4 weeks. So an average of 0.4 average decrease across the continent over the last 4 weeks. The following are the regional trends: 136% increase in the Central Africa region, 21% increase in Southern Africa, 4% decrease in North Africa, 11% decrease in West Africa, a 17% decrease in East Africa. In terms of deaths, there have been an overall 1% average increase in new deaths reported over the last 4 weeks. Let's transition to testing. As a continent, we've conducted over 47 million tests. And the good news is that over this week, I'm really happy to see that the continent conducted about 1 million new tests, and that represents an increase of 32%. If you recall, 2 weeks ago, I was making a strong appeal for the continent not to relent on testing. And I'm very encouraged, and I hope this trend will be maintained. The overall positivity rate, however, remains high, about 10.2%, with a test per case ratio of 9.8%. Let's now go to the situation with vaccines and vaccination. As of the 24th of May, 2021, a total of 43 million vaccine doses have been acquired by member states, with approximately 28 million doses being administered. The figure corresponds to a coverage rate of 1.62%, with a slide with about 0.46% of population fully vaccinated. To date, AU member states have used up about 65% of their vaccine supplies, and this represents a 0.8 increase compared to the last briefing. Some numbers, just to highlight some of the progress so far. Morocco has used up 12.7 million doses of vaccines, representing 99% of its supplies. 13% of the population has been fully vaccinated. Ethiopia has used up 1.6 million doses, representing about 67% of its supplies, with 1.5% of the population vaccinated. Kenya has used up 954,000 doses, representing 93% of its supply fully used, with about 1.8% of its population fully vaccinated. So the point of this is that insofar as we have challenges in some countries, I mean, a vast number of countries, including what I briefed you on in Rwanda the other week, are making very good progress with respect to use of their vaccines. In South Africa, where I am, tremendous progress has been made. The government has secured enough doses to inoculate the adult population. I was in a very extensive meeting with the Minister of Health 2 days ago, and their numbers are very impressive. If those vaccines can continue to come in and the uptake also complies, then they should be able to achieve their target of immunizing over the adult population, about 70% of their population. As of 25th of May, South Africa had administered about 700,000 COVID vaccines. South Africa has effectively administered around, if you transform that into per 100 population, about 0.9 doses per 100 people in population. This week, the US biotechnology firm Moderna said that in their recent trials, COVID-19 vaccines showed safety and efficacy in adult population age between 12 and 17 years. I think that let me end there, Wayne, and then turn it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was our briefing coming from Dr. John Kengasong. And